Ultimately, we want the best and the brightest, the most ferocious individuals to serve in uniform. And so the biggest key thing that I didn't mention was when you lower standards so women can pass these hardcore tests to go into combat jobs, think of now the betas in the male population who are getting by as well. So it's now a standard that is hitting women just so they can pass, but then it's also a standard in which lower capable men are now getting through these courses. So and
that's very sad to see, honestly. This is a question we are trying to answer today. Should women be in combat role or not? And this veteran, this female Marine, is trying to answer the question.
Alec Lace here at the press conference for the Navy SEAL March for Pete Hegseth. I got Marine veteran Jessica here with me. Now, after they just went through this entire thing about trying to get the DEI and the wokeness out of the military, first two questions were about race and about gender. And it seems like that's the things everybody wants to key on. They try to hammer Pete on his point. What was your message here? And just for my listeners, how you responded to that question of should women be in combat?
I think it's a matter of just because we can doesn't mean we should. And scrutinizing that question is really important. It's something that Pete is adamant about because he's recognizing the lowered standards, how this ideology is infiltrating and messing with the lethality of our defense and our warfighters that are serving abroad. Ultimately, we want the best and the brightest, the most ferocious individuals to serve in uniform. And so the biggest key thing that I didn't mention was when you lower standards so women can pass these hardcore tests to go into combat jobs, think of now the betas in the male population who are getting by as well. So it's now a standard that is hitting women just so they can pass, but then it's also a standard in which lower capable men are now getting through these courses.
I don't think you should lower the standards for anybody, honestly, whether men or women.
So what does that mean to the alpha fighter who is out there and went through the standards that were higher, and they're seeing the type of warfighter that's standing next to them in combat? They're going to be dealing with the repercussions as well. So it's not a matter of women being, can they, should they, blah, blah, blah. What are we doing to mess with the standards that are now infiltrating our brothers and sisters who are going to be in the front lines?
Yeah, lowering the standard make us work less hard ultimately and make us less effective as well. So it's a bad idea overall.
That's a great point, Jessica. I can't understand the concept when it's our military where it's like about fairness, about all that. We want to win at all costs. I mean, that's what we hope. As a civilian myself, we are depending on our special war fighters, our military to protect us, foreign and domestically. And if we're going to be lowering the standards, it's not just them that's going to suffer. It's ultimately us, the ones that are being protected, are the ones that are going to suffer from all this stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, I love that I got to serve in the Marine Corps as a woman when there was only 7% joining and being in capacity in the United States Marine Corps. It was the smallest percentage of women in any other branch. There was something very prideful about that, and I want to continue to honor and recognize the women that were before me and that come after me. But we have to be practical. Biology goes down to our bones. What does war say when you are not fit enough, when you are not ferocious enough to react to an adversary?
This is very, very important for everybody to hear.
Women are physically not the same on par to our male counterparts when it comes to muscle mass, bone density, speed, agility, all of these things. And it doesn't mean that we can't serve in another capacity, especially intellectually. We come forward with some great ideas, but just because we can doesn't mean we should. And that's the question that Pete's asking.
Yeah. She's 100% right about this. Women are generally stronger and faster and more ferocious and have a level head and can act quickly and decisively in difficult and dangerous situations. And most women cannot do this at all.
And that's what they've tried to do with Pete Hegseth, where they try to twist it to say he doesn't think women should be in the military at all. And that's what they're trying to do. And that was not what he was trying to say.
No, not at all. He respects every single person in uniform. And I say person, again, because specifically he is thinking about the character of the person and the individual in uniform, not based on their class, their color, their creed, their gender, or anything else in between. Who is that warfighter? Are they high caliber? Are they executing what we asked them to do as a United States service member? That's it.
Great point. I totally agree with what she's saying right there. Do not lower the standards. This is what Pete said during his hearing.
And it would be an honor to have a chance to lead them. As Secretary of Defense, will you support women continuing to have the opportunity to serve in combat roles?
Senator, first of all, thank you for your service, as we discussed extensively as well.
It's my privilege.
And my answer is yes, exactly the way that you caveated it. Yes, women will have access to ground combat roles, given the standards remain high, and we'll have a review to ensure the standards have not been eroded in any one of these cases. That'll be part of one of the first things we do at the Pentagon, is reviewing that in a gender-neutral way, the standards, ensuring readiness and meritocracy is front and center. But absolutely, it would be the privilege of a lifetime to, if confirmed, to be the Secretary of Defense for all men and women in uniform who fight so heroic. They have so many other options. They decide to put their right hand up for our country, and it would be an honor to have a chance to lead them.
Yeah, they are great. They do a very important and very honorable job, all of these women and men that fight in the front line. But AP News is saying that Pete changed his views on this, and that in his book he said something else. Previously, I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat role. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated. Pete Hegseth said in a podcast hosted by Sean Ryan. And now you just hear what he said after his nomination. So they are questioning him morally on where does he stand. Honestly, I believe we should not lower the standards, but as a man, I believe we should protect women at all costs. So if women want to fight, fine, but we should not lower the standard, and men should have a duty to protect women because they are much more valuable.
Why we stand up when they come into the room, why we seat them in their chairs, why when we walk with them if there's any threat. If you're near a street, the man always walks close to the street and he has his woman away from the street. If there's any vulgarity that appears, we put ourselves in front of our women in order to protect them, and we help escort them out of any circumstance that would be, inappropriate or disrespectful to them, because we honor their presence. We also die for them. We literally go and fight enemies in order to protect them. And it's the greatest shame for a man to allow a woman, let alone his mother or his wife, to fight for him or die for him. That is shame, shame, shame. The idea that we currently have in the West, that women should be in combat roles in the military, is completely grotesque. Completely grotesque. A complete attack on femininity and a complete attack on masculinity, besides the fact of being just practically dangerous. It has lowered the standards of what a warrior is so grievously that we are now unable in the West, in our Western military, to maintain a fighting force that is equal to what traditional fighting forces in the West have been in the past, because we won't hold a discipline standard that we should for men, because women can't meet that standard of strength and discipline and pain endurance. And the result of that is that we've lowered the standard, which is a terrible, terrible thing to do.
I must say I agree with what he's saying right there. Let me know what you think. Should we lower the standards? Should we have women in combat role? Or should men be on the front line and protect women at all costs? Let me know what you think about this. Thanks for watching and staying with me to the end. I appreciate you being here as always, and click right there to watch the next video, and I will see you there. Bye bye.